他没他没的是这先把结果的，他先把这点莫名的没他没，这里是
Um, so then the first verse says, of those 12 indispensable things, first of all, it is indispensable to possess a stable faith born from sincere dread of birth and death. So for the first indispensable thing is have to have a sincere faith um, that comes from like a fear of birth and death. And so since once we are born in samsara, we are bound to, as humans, the four kinds of suffering: birth, aging, sickness, and death. And so it is said that when one enters the gate of the Buddha's teachings, and one wishes to genuinely practice the Dharma, one first must have a heartfelt faith toward the three jewels, and that faith arises when you are aware of that kind of universal suffering that we experience of birth, aging, sickness, and death. So the first thing is that you need to establish this stable faith.
真的当时就是那个去年他们去建议，你别在那吧，真的是那个他去他们去建的，他明白的是明白的，谁把的，谁把的，他真的呢，做这他真的别是，你这是谁把啥给起不差的，谁把名呢？啊，真的，然后去两三万多个嘛，谁把谁到名啊？说句接触过那个，我这女的说句接啊的，他谁把电波是过的那种出啥的。
Mhm. It is said that all phenomena arise from causes and conditions, and that cause that gives birth to all is the aspiration. So one needs to have a belief in something, and so in the Dharma practice, this belief, this faith, is indispensable, because without faith one cannot truly develop, develop the qualities of Dharma practice. So it's for that one first needs to have a stable faith.
他这嘛说的是呢，他南南这边南马些没他没意思，他说南南这边，我他说南南这边南马些没他没意思，他说产品线没空旁，特别了，他南南这南南呢吃看的，比如说南南这边，他南马些没他没，南南没南马些没他没他没事，他这我在上上说现在南马这边那说跟你们养吃他把起码些吧，南努力的，这边是。咱们先把这种呀，做眼看有的是的，养差吧是，咱们都嘛差吧做的呢，真的那么是在开心不的是给吧，这场地方不拿老少的，这种啊，我们俩可能去过，就说那么成这样的穷，那种的这里头，那么在没他没把晓得有的是，那就那边的呀，那说把他就说那么是没他没了，这，开心不晓得有的是就是了。
And so the second verse is, it is indispensable to have a guru who guides you on the path of liberation. So you must have a teacher who shows you the path to liberation, a guide. And to have such a guide is indispensable, because without such a guide, a teacher, you don't truly know how to practice properly. And then if you don't know how to truly practice, then there's a danger that your path is mistaken and you go astray. So it is through the Lama, through the teacher, that you learn what to do and what not to do, and from whom you learn all the different teachings, on the different on how to traverse the grounds and the paths, and the various tantras and the various bodies of scripture. So all of these teachings, all this knowledge comes from the guru, and so therefore it's indispensable to have such a guru who shows you the correct path.
真的，大行情就出来这个生活吧，这个他，就那课啊，弄不写到现在他没上的，在那嘛我的基本跟这个嘛的上说说去同样大时候说还会说说久了， 同大组哈口ko tumnya wa de thong da zu ha ko zai so zam ni long ha ko nyam na chi ya bo ha ko tumnya wa chen shi ra je me ta me ba de so de na do shi ra de mi na ko ba so ya bo long ma so de nyam na chi ya si su ko no de so de de da gum je som kare na de so shi ra de go de sa na do to ba shi ra zam bi shi ra go me shi ra se la wo ra wa de shi ra zo zai shi ra zo so de出的国外来怎么样了？现在在说的女了哈。之前中国说的也是没他明白的也是。
And verse number 3, it is indispensable to be intelligent enough to understand the meaning. So you must have the wisdom, the intelligence that has an ability to understand something. So therefore, even if you have such a qualified teacher, that alone is not enough. You must also be able to comprehend those teachings, the meaning of those teachings. So for that, you need intelligence. Without a certain level of intelligence, you cannot understand the meaning of these teachings. And without that, it is hard to bring an end to samsara. Or practice will just take much longer if you lack the intelligence. And so when we practice, we develop different kinds of wisdom. We develop the wisdom of hearing, of contemplating, and of meditating. And without developing this wisdom, the wisdom of these three practices, you cannot truly understand the meaning of the Dharma. And therefore, it is also indispensable to have such wisdom.
我真的挺久，在国家上你说，两边做旅行没啥没，在国家是吧的，你就乱没吧的，就乱没吧，这帮我做国差不是了，国差不是那在的颠簸过去了，我觉得颠簸去的呢，跟他说国差不是嘛，他妈的讲那假的，我在公寓老人嘛，这边国差不了不了，我这他在从小做我去做过，我在忙一天，在国家在说说，你做不过去的，当然你做不起来嘛，你写了地图嘛，这边做居民的有嘛的是啊。我真的做居民的写了的钱了，经常你们起初干嘛的？我这旅游这国家，当然你top 点吧，做旅行没他名字，他别强的是，你出门了地方的下乡那个，人家过头嘛的这热了，当然农田破了不？当然农田破是之后才修的，这全没我刚下的，全没的了。他嘛啥玩意儿？他就第一人，全面别起步了，你妈开些点去，他就绕可有可能怕，他就多特别，你做不了。我成就多啊，他成就我那个就恐怕说这不受那我在两年前啊，成就搞的忙不家伙，我真拿你这才过去的，你说不是说？去过说的是。
And then the next verse number 4, it is indispensable to be diligent while wearing the armor of courage. So you must also have diligence, which is like armor. And so that means the armor here means that it means unchanging. You need to be steadfast in your practice, and that essentially means being diligent and persevere in the practice. For example, in the old days, the soldiers and knights in battle, they had this iron of metal armor to shield themselves from weapons, and so in the same way, you are shielding yourself with this armor, like um, diligence, and this what you're shielding yourself from is kind of this loss that prevents you from practicing. You need the diligence to practice. So even if you have intelligence, even if you have wisdom, without diligence in practice, there is no benefit, because if you're not diligent, even if you're intelligent, you will still not practice the Dharma. And this diligence is a quality that many of the past masters have shown. For example, Milarepa, that was the story of when he stayed in the cave. Chapokiming, what was the name?
大人的手下，大人先大那个，
Oh, the tiger neck cave. Anyways, in his early days of practicing, and during that time, he placed a butter lamp on his head and stayed there meditating, never lying down for as long as the flame was present. So he meditated with such an endurance. He stayed there with steadfastness, and so this is how the past masters have practiced. And so they remind us that this diligence, our diligence must be firm like armor, must be unwavering.
真的，他嘛什么就有那，他说这你们来骑下去，所以我这他骑托嘛，都是叔叔举了下来给他是这样的，在当我都国家的专注，你错不的专注这种就吧，没了钱了的，车节、绿节、长节特别严重的，绿那他特别你们来要我说骑过的也种出来的。
So then whether or not the profound peace instructions that you have received actually will be of any benefit depends on yourself, depends on your own practice, on your own diligence. So if you practice with diligence, then it can become a cause for attaining enlightenment in this very lifetime, in this very body.
我真的他听就这喇叭中，喇叭中他从你出版没把些啥吧，没啥没意思啊。喇叭中现在这喇叭中的喇叭水里面喇叭，喇叭顶子喇叭，写了不喇叭了哇。我真的我这错的不得没去说那么错的，明明错了哇。我这出现没了去过的是，被喇叭他出成喇叭的那，他那的出成有人送，他这啥不是的呢？他等于是那个地方是光明式的，但听着我的样子，错着那错那，他也错在也是给我原来也是听着是，他给我出去去也有嘛的是，我这可惜痛了，要在上班就好像来去过的是的，我这给我出去去就嘛的种确实从哪弄噻，出去去那都也说是觉得人家说就要不接触嘛的三这多上，我三个我心他这多上。你嘛但没那个日本的镜头是在的，哇，但没些休息的是，他现在就把米，知道么多，反正在一起拿的，你一起拿那个，你们要他们起床米还会要起来要嘛子说，你那他说这样，说出去穷这多哈，我真的去拿，
Miki Burchikare Sumsum.
咱没些在求新鲜，求正常的都自己大家亲友嘛，那个他们看懂的，经常在中秋那中秋那那他就去还是多好。
Oh.
他没事在休息，他现在就把没事过。你看他这个在现在他在求，要不就那么大事，是他咱们洗头没洗脚嘛，我是说，你看他忽然出现了人多，我当然在出现起脚嘛的很多对呢，别讲的亚多发在这边那一个亚多发在是，他亚多发在是要嘛啦呢？把这是在录音，这咱就不是，在这看是的，在这看了啥个的，没看到的是。我这旅行呢，这就是我这两年去过的小说再说那些，知道吗？
And then the next verse, number 5, it is indispensable to be insatiable in cultivating the 3 trainings and the 2 accumulations. So it means that you should never be satisfied with your practice, thinking that now I have done enough. The practice of the 3 higher trainings. So that's what we ultimately practice. So the 3 higher trainings are the trainings of the higher training of ethical conduct and the higher training of samadhi or concentration and the higher training of developing wisdom. And also you should not be satisfied with the practice of the 2 accumulations. That is the accumulation of merit with concepts and the accumulation of wisdom without concepts. So you should not think, for example, I've practiced some ethics, some ethical conduct, and that's good for now. You should never think it's enough, or you should not think I have meditated enough, or have enough wisdom, or have enough merit. You should always think that I need to meditate more. I need more wisdom. I need to accumulate more merit. Actually, you need to keep practicing until attaining enlightenment. If you become complacent, then you will not actually truly practice. And there was a older person who said that I'm dedicating my whole life to practice, and then I will die without any regrets, and I will spend my life in retreat. And so, but it turns out that he was basically just saying that, but for the most part, he was not. He was going around in town and maybe reciting some prayers here and there, but not really seriously practicing. Of course, we don't know what he was truly practicing, but what's clear is that he has become a bit complacent, so that he didn't feel the need to always practice. So he has some contentment, and that should never happen. There should never be a contentment that now I have enough. So instead, one should be like a hungry yak who is never satisfied with eating grass. So the yak always wants more. The yak never thinks, now I've had enough grass. It keeps eating more and more grass. And so in this way, you must continue to practice and accumulating merit and practicing the three trainings without ever feeling satisfied or feeling that it's enough.
다 진짜 다 세계 내로도 배 따와시면 참이 세계 내로 전다 내로 그 동탐바티 세계 내로 슬랍쇼살티 내로 또 도바다 따와스 거레스 따와데 따와서는 요바다 메바 니가 메바다 다시 상치들 스코쇼자 다시 다시 주면라레 배송도 그 가르는 게 따반들라 서섬제스 따베서 섬이잖아 따베서 섬티 컨트롤이잖아 나시 샘슨 두반도스 나시 샘슨 두바다 스미 제베 강라도 Tela ngozong mi bando sendo ta ta sen.
Det är stort alltså, I'm sorry. Det är
Nancy
stort alltså.
Samson, Nancy Samson du anda bas.
Mhm.
Simni zewe ngala das. Tela ngozong mi bando bas. Wa ta ngozong ya me ta ba se yo mi ta sin ta dang che ba de. Ta ba te ngozong mi bas ko sho sa wa.
Then next verse, it is indispensable to possess the view that realizes the basic nature of phenomena. And so here, realizing the basic nature of phenomena refers to realizing that the ultimate nature of phenomena, to realize how things really are. And so the ultimate truth is a reality that's free from the four extremes, neither existing nor non-existing, nor being both existing, non-existing, nor neither. Milarepa said that this is how I drive home the view, the nail of the view. And so, what is the nail of the view? It is to nailing the view. That is to view all appearance and existence within your own mind. So appearance and existence are viewed within your own mind. And that mind that is viewed is a state of clarity. And this clarity is something that cannot be identified as anything at all. So this is the right viewing.
Wa ta ta wa zhen ta sam ji chen da xi de zhen zi ba qiu song zhe ki ma de de ji ju ma la de be. Na tang dong tang ye mi na da wa long zhe ba yi na wa de dong ba ye mi na da wa long zhe de yi da wa long zhe zhen long zhe de yi zhong ge wa. Wa ta zhen yang ta be da wa qi ran sha zhou ge tu za ku le zhong ku zhe.
And so the two there's two faults that must be avoided when it comes to a wrong view, and that is the view of eternalism and the view of nihilism. And Milarepa said that when appearance and emptiness become inseparable, that is the actualization of the view, and then that's when you have mastered the view. And so that's the authentic view that we should place our mind in.
저는 다 샘 칸네드 네바 곰바시 메타미 다 샘 칸네시 카라샤나 샘 카라샤나 tana 네베 곰타스 곰바시 메타미 서다 단 레thông 보면은 다 샘 샤라레 네 투비아 갈레 가보 쇼르다 네 투구 말에 어제 만에 마토브 샘 제디 샘나데 시가데 샘제 제냠나 컨트롤 샘 연코르네 想开了个说这牛毛把那拖毛毛这这节目过来，我前女他这个当初是年年说钱呢，那这点把出他去，点把头呢这想着，可能想了这个，这没出不了了，这个偏跑有啥的吧？这想不着我把马球吧，他没写吧，在那边他没写吧，我真这可能哪怕这桥想那种平常这桥对，这个多出了了，他控制地上面呢，这用途个嘛的也是。就是嘛啦，那边他的去写什么，这就了。公办的了是什么的？公办是什么意思呢？是，我看的，南跑球可错了吧？但是南跑球可错了，但是这是错送的，南跑球可了错送的。但我些吧，成就前南跑球可错了吧的，这些单位硬了的是，这个是哇，单位硬了，真的，这个是哇，单位硬了，这些单位硬都是。
This
这
känns så långt.
些单位硬了的是。
Namto Chuko drova dini.
Non posso trovare adesso, se deve non adesso te la so. Se quasi va deve non adesso, ma c'è una barca adesso. Ma c'è una barca, se ma c'è va, so c'è ma tama. E ma c'è una barca, sì che no. Sanno non è cibo e sono cose.
Then the next verse. It is number 7. It is indispensable to possess the meditation that leaves your attention wherever you place it. So you must have a meditation where your mind can be placed, and you can place your mind and then it stays there. And so for us in the beginning, that is very difficult. Our mind can, in the beginning, not really stay still. Even if we practice somewhat, the mind becomes distracted and various thoughts and emotions, afflictive emotions continuously arise. And so we must habituate and train the mind until we have attained stability, until you gain this mastery of being able to place your mind somewhere and then having it stay there and resting there with ease for any given time. And Milarepa, when he explained the 3 nails, he says that whatever thoughts arise, recognize thoughts as the Dharmakaya. Then thoughts become liberated in the Dharmakaya. So when thoughts arise, you recognize, you see them as the Dharmakaya. And then seeing what you see when you see thoughts as Dharmakaya is a state of empty clarity and bliss. And the correct view is to rest within that state unaltered without doing anything to it. So this is what we ultimately need to practice.
就是嘛啦，那边的上头，他这种是没那么明白起嘛，那光把弄去吧，他是没那么明白的，你那这，他没那么明白，出去嘛送吧。我真的你那，他出去往去了嘛送，这6年来送，这光把这东西说的也送多。
And Milarepa also said that when no confusion arises, whether when you're dreaming or when you are awake, then you have mastered meditation. And so when you remain undiluted, unconfused, even when you're sleeping, when you're dreaming, then you have mastered meditation practice.
他提出他们去朗读起来话了，就把前面他们意思。我在提出上了，前话的就把看的那天他们去朗读起来怎么样？那朗读这天朗读起来做干嘛的？这样把的这种的别刚刚的。我今年对这那朗读起来要从别送去过去的。这这样把这种对这你们来去的就第边那的这你们来去答案的第是也是。这嘛头这你们来去那你要不这那个广州嘛什么的。我曾想到就是的3年。看你那是拿不起来怎么样？上步应该我说这起码过了，年把一那这东西说起码过了，但是3年你不如你们怎么样？我甚至现在真的你们去过的是，我听讲那有的给的一那不给完的这种那的这块钱那，最起码在拿不起来这个要说啥的，拿不起来你们讲的给的做，他做不到就是啦，有什么的，那从出从头是给的做不到的话。就是没来的，这种那这种啊， get you eat me balance, give out you to say Jodo your mass, they should bound me balance, they got you bound your mass, make it you take. Nimbo says on Joe Smith, Nimbo says on the same much over, but in on Shardina, give out all out of your mass, they got power bound the mass. One of them, like now, they do, the Chedoya or Manson. 我这人对这里那个说啥这样商业可能现在这南铁过的是南铁是很多，我这南铁嘛，他那的这样把车我这边刚也知道，我这里那不是不去过的嘞，东西啥的。
And then the next verse, number 8. It is indispensable to possess the conduct that utilizes all activities as part of the path. So whatever you encounter, the good and the bad must be carried on to the path, so must become practice. So it all becomes equal. So whether it is a virtue or non-virtue, there's really no distinction. We really only create distinction when we are in a state of confusion or delusion. And also in his teachings on the three nails, Milarepa said that so when you rest in the uncontrived natural state of mind without any mental fabrication, then within that state, the 10 virtues are not to be created, established, and then 10 non-virtues are not to be abandoned. So the 10 non-virtues, they settle up on their own, and the 10 virtues arise on their own. There is no deliberate practice that needs to be done aside from placing the mind in a state without fabrication. So whatever it is, the good and the bad, virtue, non-virtue, whatever arises, we have to carry that onto the path. And so if we can't do that, and that is hard in the beginning, but if we can't do that, then when we encounter a negative condition, then everything becomes very difficult.
我真正要做这有没来的这种多的，记录你不起名呢，就把弄出去了，记录你不起名吧，就那这就把它弄出去了吧，类似弄确实我去了，我这记录你不起名了，这起图呀，这是个来看我的，那种，你那这年们样呢，样现在这程序卡是有啥的，这样的，我程序在起图那对呢，就把弄出去了，你种多。
Milarepa also said that when there's no more difference between happiness and sadness, then you have mastered the conduct of bringing everything onto the path. Everything becomes equal. And of course, in the beginning, that's a little bit difficult, but we just need to practice again and again. And if we train, then that can be accomplished. And so then when it all becomes equal, then the conduct is mastered.
我他讲给对场不是帮忙，但我这就嘛对吧？你们那些没差没意思。我他讲把那说的，给现在给那个起来用个对有了哈，对些那说有，但对些这个经常的可是，那是对些你对了不？牛毛对些的，其他对些碰波对的，稍微对了不？我去对些那说吧。我在可是帮忙，可是真的拉不着说的，可是是他是那个，可是呢，拉不了不着嘛的嘛，可是是。我这帮为他妈的设备讲的，人们这是说不用的去用呢。他妈这菜图嘛对吧？人们前面差没事。我这菜图绿说那真的那个，这样去用的偏错嘛的吧？我这人们现在没他没把的也是人们去过的也是嘛多的菜图绿的，偏错嘛的也是人的。前两经验把那说吧，这会去可能从那走人们个第二图呢，我这他对象的经验把它在穷呢，人们两个他不来了我嘛，这第四空气样在起床呢，哪怕空气强了，这经验把从人们起啊，然后超那种是有的这些，我程序起的，就是这赛托嘛，另外是人们起不是，人们起，但是起呢，这赛托流嘛，人们没地方别想拿上说的，这下这不起呢，这赛托流从野马经验嘛出的，这这样头嘛搞的，人们偏头起到没强多的也是。
And then the next verse, sorry, number 9, it is indispensable to dispel obstacles and Mara's harm without oral instructions. Right. So that means that you must the instructions that you have received to abandon various adverse conditions and the 4 maras must be actually practiced. So the 4 maras, for example, the maras of the afflictive emotions, the mara of the Lord of Death, the mara of the aggregates, and the mara of the Son of the Gods. So, and there are many deviations and pitfalls along the way. And if we have little practice, then it's very easy to be led astray by them. And so, therefore, these PIS instructions, we must rely on PIS instructions and not just rely on the words written in the scriptures, written in books. And through those PIS instructions, we actually can apply those teachings directly into our mind stream. And there's really no other way. So no matter what happens, you must apply it. It all must become practice, especially when hardships arise. It's not easy when hardships arise, but you have to train. And if you train the mind, you will form a habit and becomes easier. And then later, it's even possible that all these obstacles and these difficult situations even become a support for your practice once you have really trained your mind. But then if you keep the teachings as words, and you've read those books, the Dharma scriptures, and you know all about it, but if it just remains words, then when trouble comes to you, in that moment, you will not be able to remember, leave alone apply all of these words. So they don't really help you in that moment. What helps you in those moments is if you have actually applied them, if you have practiced them. So you have to actually practice, integrate them in your mind stream.
真的，다 루심 체베, 들어봐. 루심 체베, 체베스나, 로데베, 히딩히, 침보히, 메타미스. 가서 루심 참아 체인로 그러다, 체인로야 되지. 참아 체인로야. 대류 자신을 가서 희가라다, 히딩스, 딩시스 거레스, 딩시스나, 이제, 지스타 냠내 치니자, 히류제, 랑삽데, 히나미바. 我这等这些没他没把这啥子的开钱没得，他可以现在搞一些做一些这个的，可以呢些的，这什么之类的，但好像都不成，感觉嘛不是，感觉这样说这，用个咯，说他这就人家们去做嘛，就这么样，得把上年得把毛不啥子，他就用上就把这样的啊，这就用这个咯，但是可以呢，大家搞他们家人家们要活钱，可能。没事，没吃点东西钱，甚至上节嘛，他们大家现在就把没怎么呢？我这里平时在用这个吧，我这里他是讲呢，但是你们钱呢，但是就话工作，他把什么些个恐怕做呀，我这里定期你把这用了，我这但是也有才的，
And so that also included the next verse. So one must possess the oral instructions with experience and not just lip service. And then the next verse, it is indispensable to possess the deep confidence of inner peace when the time comes for body and mind to part. So body and mind will separate, as all of us will face death one day. And at that time, what you need is confidence in your practice, that you have some degree of fearlessness because you practiced well. There are some people who are actually able to die in peace, but others die in a lot of fear. They worry and they think about all the terrible things that they have done, and then at the time of death they're overwhelmed by regret. If they have not practiced the Dharma, then their mind will be full of fear and worries about the negative things that they have done. But if you have practiced, then you will feel that I have done my best to practice, even if I didn't reach enlightenment in this lifetime. I know I practiced well. I did my best to make the best of it in this life. and I will just continue practicing until I attain Buddhahood. So if you are able to die with that confidence, then you are able to die without any regret. And so that's what we kind of want to achieve. We want to die without regret. And the more you practice, the stronger this confidence will grow. And then at the time of death, that is your greatest support.
我他或者么其中的是，他确吧，让天气为个落地为协定全部协过吧，这是他是落地为协定过，可是给我也不着，这落地吧，确吧真的可是咱协为谁他给的你不在长的时呢，给我的是忙的嘞，这个里他这是给我忙的，他确吧真这是，他确吧他妈在可是他给我要么是这个要么是。给的힘이맞장도중요하다고몇세삼도당뇨마냠난데 그래서 나한테给的长度有嘛라고我甚至记得就把他妈的死了。
The Gambopa had said that he said there is a supreme practitioner. A supreme practitioner is one who has who at the time of death has a peaceful mind and great confidence. And then there is a middling practitioner. When they die, like when they kind of review their life at death, they will find that their virtues are slightly more than their non-virtue. So they have more virtue than they have non-virtue. And then a lesser practitioner at the time of death doesn't really find in anything, not much virtue and also not much non-virtue. And they're still a practitioner, but they haven't really done much practice either. Even though they were a practitioner, they didn't really think too much about Dharma in their lives.
真的他过送对了吧？过送让了手机照片，这个些没太没他没是啊。我在过送在秋可能可都是可送，我在过送手机照吧，但基本上我说出三分我过送手机照的有啥的，但我就那种我没些没的，我懂吧，秋可是咋个吧？但让一些吧，弄可。真的，途径各方面都开下，这过送手机照最最想起，那些啊，他就有啥的吧？
And next verse 12, it is indispensable to possess the fruition of the three kayas that are spontaneously present within yourself. So the three kayas are the Dhammakaya, Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. And the three kayas are your mind itself. Your mind is the three kayas. So the Dharmakaya is the empty essence of your mind. And the Sambhogakaya is the natural clarity of your mind. And the Nirmanakaya is the unceasing compassion in your mind.
我真的继续没来的种，然后这种看这种谁种到底呢？商界 top 的没办的，可乱抢的，但商业特别可来话的，可乱他们多块没事，让什么商界落差就是我在让什么这他商界落差就是，我在让这商界轻松，真的各种在让一堆 top 的有啥的话他。
Also in his teachings on the three nails, Milarepa said, Buddhahood is not something to be attained, and samsara is nothing to be liberated. There is no hope of attaining Buddhahood and no hope of liberating samsara. I decide with certainty that my own mind is the Buddha. So he had seen that there's no other Buddha, and his own mind is actually the Buddha.
他真的他俺说他，我娘们也过去过的种口做，他俺娘们也过去三百年后头我学特别，是说要过去过学的种口他，我真的他曾经去抢的马来他，这样十块钱嘛去头大过。
So, in essence, we need to practice well, and mainly we need to recognize the nature of the mind when we practice. Look at the nature of the mind. So today we actually stop here for today, and we will continue next week.
真的dedication 대신 지금 성공. 제가听到那个有没得呗？
라.
就那个没呗，听到
내가 요,
아,
먼저 디 남치 줘봐라. 먼저 가가 데스레. 먼저 디
我잡시라可能是可能
지단 고기 앞서 이네 먼저 고기 앞 줘마래. 간지나 남치 다른
아,
따거라.
아, 남피我先都呗，
This. Love it. That is.
呀，
嗯。
dedication OK，
little loud here. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root, and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yadams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes, and heroines, yogini and assembly of dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all sentient beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise within my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities, equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. Even at death, may the torment of suffering not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such, and in the pervasive clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Yeah, OK, thank you. Maybe I hope I see you next week.
조금
아,
그냥 갑자기 주체시 연합더니 참바 그런서 대화 가셔도 그때가 거기안
상의장推说有呗，
예 가득 갔어요.
상의 시카고 주주바 신들의 가바당 시간.
쇼크 주고
주바.
줘봐. 야 오케이. 오케이.
삼바디 로송 삼대인데.
이제 조당 대자 코니가 이게 만보 당성
네. 야양, 그래.
주체 때도 거사래.
아,
그래서 주체 때도 거사래.
주제.
같이 거사래.
야양.
만보 있어.
야,这上休息吧，想最后去那干巴帮，拿来。야양.
야, 야, 오케이.
Yeah, OK, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
야, 삼장나.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ina.
Thank you. To see you.